This video is brought to you by Squarespace. You need a website or domain? You know where to go. It's always a good day when new film is released out in the wilderness. I mean, when films are being canceled faster than Freaks and Geeks after season 1. Yeah, no, that still stinks. Having a newcomer to the game is always refreshing. So hats off to Silberra for stepping out into the black and white world and into some color light. But is this actually a new film? Silberra recently just released 3 different color films. No fancy names like Velvia or Ektar or Retrochrome. Nope, just called Color50, Color100, and Color160. I wonder how long it took the marketing department to come up with that. But once I found out about these films, I knew I needed to try them out. And thanks to Gregory for donating a couple rolls and telling me about the film in the first place. So today, let's explore all 3 of these films in both 35 and 120 formats. And what better way to put these newcomers to the test than go on a little 2-day micro trip to the Salton Sea. So this was actually not my first time going to the Salton Sea. Jason and I had gone about 2 or 3 years prior, you know, before I existed.
Be shooting with my Pentax 6x7.
I'm going to be shooting with my Cybershot 7.2 megapixels. Well done.
Back then, I was shooting the Pentax 6.7, and since we would be returning, I knew I needed to take that baby with me.
Oh yeah, that's it, smell.
Here at our first location, an abandoned grocery store, I decided to shoot my Leica M6 and pop Color160 in for no particular reason. Well, I guess other than I knew I'd be shooting indoors and 160 is the fastest speed. On Silberra's website, they seem to suggest that shooting different ISOs will give you different results, like a magenta color cast or harsher colors. But I decided to shoot all these different films at box speed. Now the Salton Sea is in the California desert, and it's summertime. So it's hot, hot, hot. It's sizzling like fajitas on a TGI Fridays platter. So the fact that these films are all around the same ISO range isn't a big deal. The first thing I noticed when getting this film back was, well, to be blunt, the cheap nature of all this film. What you've seen so far is a bit of editing to get the images the way that I wanted them to look. But when first converting with Negative Lab Pro, all settings off, the images had a bit of a blue cast to them. But despite my first judgment, after a bit of tweaking, I did warm up to the images. After a bit of exploring, we headed to our next destination, Bombay Beach, where a wasteland meets art and abandoned buildings. But before splashing around in the beach, we stopped off at some abandoned prefab homes that were littered with graffiti. Here, I decided to bring out my tank, the Pentax 6.7. I also wanted to stick with Color160. I wanted to compare the same film in different formats at the same time of day. Here is when I noticed something about the 120 film. It is not branded by Silberra at all. Now, if I could read past a 3rd grade level, I would have caught on their website that they state that this first batch of 120 was actually hand-rolled. They're reusing backing paper from other companies. Furthermore, it comes with an expose sticker for when you're done exposing the roll, but I'll get back to that a little later. So it comes with an exposed sticker. I'm guessing that you roll it up and put the sticker on it. Or you can put it on a refrigerator, or a car, or a notebook for that matter. You should probably use it for the film though. Yeah. Look at that. Exposed. Overall, from this first roll of 120 for Color 160, that's a lot to say, I found the same color profile. But I have to say that I'm a fan of the bigger 120 format. It probably is because of the bigger negative and the less grain, making it feel more premium. We then headed for the actual beach. Here, I continued to shoot Color 160 in my M6. Then I decided to switch up some stocks and put in Color 100 in my Pentax 6.7. And spoiler alert, Color 100 is definitely my favorite out of these 3 films in both 35 and 120. Another thing to mention is that because these films are hand-rolled, it may lead to light leaks, which is definitely the case for some of these images. They also advise to load in subdued lighting, but 1 p.m. in the desert is not exactly subdued. Shooting these 2 stocks at the same time, regardless of format, actually led to a good comparison between the 2 films. Here, at this little Biva station, photos on the 160 had greener shadows, unlike the more magenta shadows of the Color 100.
What'd you take a photo of?
Yeah, sign in the shadow.
I'm not sure what happened here. These 3 shots look like total garbage. But the shots before and after these 3 images don't, so I don't know. Completely different last time we came through. I do have to say, there's a bit of confusion on Silberra's website about Color 100. On the 35mm box, it says that it's a limited edition, and the same on their website. But 120 exists, and there's no mention of it being limited. So, huh? Is it just limited for 35? Nonetheless, 120 looks nice. I think a few of my favorite images so far is this blue church. It actually looks great in both 160 and 100. You can see that the asphalt colors are slightly different. There's not one I prefer over the other. I mean, maybe the medium format, because I like medium format. The sun was getting lower, and we wanted to be in Salvation Mountain for sunset. One thing that was really nice about Salvation Mountain is that there was no one around. Here I finished a roll on my M6 and the Pentax 6.7. Once those 2 were complete, I went back to Color 160 in my Pentax 6.7. But once we'd been saved, we headed back into town to get the last glimpse of the sun while it was setting. And here, I noticed the Color160 actually looks really good at sunset. Maybe everything just looks good at sunset though. One thing I found in editing the Color160 is that I was giving it a little bit more exposure. So I think next time I shoot 160, I might just rate it at 100. I finished up my Color160 roll and then decided to put in Color100 in 120. This is where I found my main frustration with this 120 film. But before we continue, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one place for you to find yourself a domain or website. Squarespace makes it easy to design an awesome website for you to share with your friends and with strangers. Whether it's starting a business, or sharing your advice through a blog, or presenting your photographic guide with another peer, Squarespace has you covered. Their clear, easy-to-use interface helps navigate designing your website from start to finish. Whether you want to start from scratch or use one of their amazing templates, your website will look great in no time. So pop on over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/badflashes to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. When trying to reload fast, that expose sticker just gets in the way. Instead of having it neatly wrapped around the roll already when you're done, you have to remember to have that sticker in your pocket, take it out, and stick it on. Honestly, it may not seem like a big deal, but when the sun is setting, it really is. And if you forget it, forget it. It's truly annoying. I know this was hand-rolled film, so hopefully that's fixed in future productions.
That's gonna be a butt banger.
What's that? Oh, that's too cool. I love the colors.
As it should be. Beer and film. Oh yeah. This morning would bring us a little treat. Instead of shooting decaying dreams, we headed further east to shoot this little oasis in the middle of the California farmlands, dunes. These sand dunes were so amazing and so weirdly out of place in the California landscape. We were the only ones there. I have a feeling it was probably because people are smart and not want to go outside in the 101-degree heat. Once we got out of the car, we instantly got swamp ass. And yes, I do regret telling you that information. Here, I decided to shoot both my Pentax 6.7 and my M6. First, I finished off the roll of the Color100 from the night before. And to be honest, you can see my developing mistakes. Somehow chemicals didn't get all around the film. It wouldn't be a Bad Flashes episode if everything was perfect.
Flaps.
This morning, the sun was in full blaze. So naturally, it'd be the perfect time to put Color50 in my M6. For some reason here at the dunes, Color50 also behaved like Color160 when it came to weird crunchy images. Yet again, I have no clue why this happened. Why do I have so many questions about these films?
In my shoes, try not to get sand in my shoes.
After spending some time with the sandworms, we started our journey home. This time, taking the western route around the Salton Sea, an area that Jason and I had never been before and were eager to explore.
Slower.
Now, Color50 is kind of an odd one. On Silberra's website, it doesn't come in 120, so I didn't get any. But as I was doing more research, I actually found that Blue Moon Camera up in Portland had 120 on their website. So, like, huh? How does that make any sense? I guess it does exist? But I can only suggest if it exists in 120, probably like 50, except for maybe just less grain. If someone actually knows what's up, let me know below, so I can know. If you thought Color160 was kind of desaturated, Color50 is even more so. Also, out of these three films, the highlight retention doesn't seem to be the best either. So if you thought 160 looked like cheap film, 50 looks even cheaper, without a cheaper price tag. It also really doesn't seem to do well in direct sunlight, kind of like this boat shot. I love to watch it leave, but front on doesn't do well with the highlights.
Woo, Palm Springs!
Jason's not having it right now.
As I was saying, Color100 is my favorite out of these three films. And on our way home, I decided to put the 35mm version in to my M6. Now when comparing these three films, obviously I favor Color100. That film overall is the best of the three in my opinion. It gives me the best colors and is the easiest to edit to my liking. And it's also worth noting that the 35mm grain structure is actually more refined than it is in Color50 and Color160. And for the most part, Color100 and Color160 has great highlight retention. But as I mentioned before, this film is limited. On Silberra's website, they say that it's actually not an emulsion they coated themselves, but they just managed to get their hands upon a batch of color film which doesn't exist anywhere else. So mysterious. And that's kind of the whole theme about this film. Where, what, who, how does this film exist? One thing to note, as opposed to other film negatives, this film border is quite transparent, unlike the more traditional orange film base. When using Negative Lab Pro, that means it has one hell of a time trying to white balance this film. And for the most part, I didn't. If you do happen to pick up these three different stocks and want to know what they were when you shot them, keep track. There is absolutely no edge coating to any one of these films in either 35 or 120. For this video, I had to make sure that I didn't mess up any of the rolls, whether developing or sending to the lab. Now, Silberra's website states, some photographers say that it reminds them of Kodachrome colors. I have to call bull. There's no way that this film comes anywhere close to the beloved Kodachrome. No way. I mean, no way. I mean, sure, I've never experienced or shot Kodachrome, but like, do one Google search, you'll see they're not the same. No way. So I'm gonna be a little too honest with you guys. I have way too many questions about this film. Why is it limited? Who actually makes it? Is it really just expired film? There are way too many contradictions on their website to know the truth. And not to mention, I backed their Indiegogo like 5 years ago and I have yet to see my perks. But yeah, I know that's personal. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Maybe I shouldn't, but this film isn't worth it. At $13 a pop, even if it did perform like Prince in the 2007 Super Bowl halftime, it still wouldn't be worth it. It feels like a subpar film all around. Well, maybe not Color100, but apparently that's not sticking around either. I don't know, I'm confused. Obviously, I love seeing new films come out into the market, keeping my happiness intact. This film just may not be for me. But on the other hand, I did get some images I'm happy with. But I don't know. Have you tried this film and I'm just crazy? It's true regardless. Let me know in the comments below if you shot this film and enjoy it. After all, I do know some people getting some great results with this film. don't know. I'm just a dude sitting here saying things and stuff. Hope you found this episode enlightening, informing, and erotic. You know, like camera erotic? Whatever.